Possession, profession, possession, profession. Is being a teacher family friendly today? I can remember years ago before I was ever in education, and I used to think how great teachers had it because they have seemingly every federal holiday off. They have summers off. They end up with a break in the middle of the winter, usually at Christmas time. They get a week at Thanksgiving. And I used to think to myself, man, teachers absolutely got it made. They have all kinds of time off. They have all kinds of time to spend with their family. And then I became a teacher. And when I became a teacher, I learned something that I would like to refer to this evening as the unspoken rule. And you will not find the unspoken rule in any handbook, in any teacher manual. You won't learn about it in your EDU classes. You won't ever hear your admin talk about it or anybody like that. But the fact of the matter is that there is an unspoken rule in education. Hey, John, thanks for jumping in, man. It's good to see you. Hope you're having a good day. I know it's snowing up there where you're at, so hang on, man. And the unspoken rule is responsible in many ways for something that we just saw in the news the other day. It's played its way out over the last couple of years. I'm going to click over to it, and I don't want to spend a lot of time on it. The case of Abby Werner. And, that is an extreme case of the unspoken rule. And, Abby was a first grade teacher, and one of her students shot her in the hand and then I think in the chest. And what's very interesting about this case is that the administration and those responsible for school safety missed every single red flag and warning. When that student was in kindergarten, he choked out his kindergarten teacher. And just the day before, he had taken Abby's phone, I believe it was, and he took it and he threw it and he cracked it and he tore it all to pieces. And so the truth of the matter is that the student should have never been in the classroom anyway. Right. And as we go along, you'll see how the unspoken rule caused some of what's happening. Now, the second thing is that um, she was not heard, nor were other teachers in that school heard. They all made complaints. They all said, hey, we believe that this student has a weapon and we need for something to be done. But not a single person who had the ability to make a difference heard or at least took seriously their concerns. And finally, she did not feel empowered. She did not feel empowered enough or protected enough by her administration to simply walk over, pick up the bag, and look inside of it to see if there was a weapon. All right. And she did that out of fear because there are some rules as it relates to searching a bag. I happen to be the dean of students at my school, and I know the rules very well. And I can tell you that the rule is reasonable suspicion, and reasonable suspicion is very, very flimsy. Basically, all you need is somebody to come up and say, hey, we saw so and so with this, that, or the other. And that gives you the ability to go search a bag. Anybody could have searched that bag. Now, the case ended the other day, and of course, she got a $10 million settlement. And everybody's thinking, well, yeah, of course she did. The problem is that she was suing for $40 million. And I want to make one more point, and then we're going to get on and we're going to talk about the unspoken rule in education, and why the unspoken rule is part of what caused Abby to end up in the situation that she ended up in. So she wins this $10 million. The problem is that her district, number one, wanted to file her shooting under workman's comp. So they didn't want to pay her, and they wanted to make her work through the workman's comp system to even be compensated for her time and for her injury. Number two, The district's defense of the assistant principal is that, hey, there was makeup test, standardized state standardized testing going on that day for makeup testing. And so legally, the assistant principal was required to go oversee this and simply just couldn't leave testing. Now, can you imagine that as a defense? We have to take care of standardized testing before we take care of campus safety. I happen to be I don't want to say the director of safety on my campus, but I'm in charge of campus safety. And so I know threat management rules and I know threat management law. And finally, in the trial, one of the state threat assessment experts got on the stand and said simply that the assistant principal didn't do anything wrong, the school didn't do anything wrong, the district didn't do anything wrong because there just wasn't enough information. There wasn't enough collaboration to be able to make a decision on whether a search was necessary or not. But here's the kicker. She won a judgment for $10 million. The problem is that she's never going to get that money. And I'm going to tell you why. Because starting next week, the assistant principal is going to have to be tried for 8 different felony counts. And the district is going to drop all responsibility at the feet of the assistant principal. As a result, the assistant principal is going to be on the hook for $10 million that she does not have. I do not believe that Abby will get a penny. John, I believe that happened in 2023. You can look that case up. It just stopped yesterday, or maybe it was Thursday that it was resolved. So the question is what does this have to do with an unspoken rule in education? What is this unspoken rule? And if I can get my screen up here and we can just kind of run through this really quick, I just want to share a few things with you. Number one, the unspoken rule is that good teachers never stop working. And I know that in theory, that sounds really I don't know what you want to say. That sounds like really dedicated, or it sounds extraordinarily professional. That good teachers are always working, but that's exactly what Abby did, right? In spite of all of the warning signs, in spite of all of the things that were going on, in spite of the past violence, she just kept working. She did not feel empowered to be able to elevate to some degree her problems beyond her local school level. And so the unspoken rule creates a cycle, and it's a cycle of burnout and guilt. And when we understand the root of the unspoken rule, then we are able to make some progress as it relates to our own mental health. And what this unspoken rule does to teachers that many don't understand is, number one, that's what causes teachers to stay late and they become regularly committed to 15 plus hours a week overtime, unpaid overtime, I might add. And that overtime, right, bleeds into their family life. It's either answering emails, it comes, or it's grading papers, or it's the next day planning. It's all these other things. And if all a teacher had to do was create a lesson plan, go into the classroom and teach it and grade whatever assignments that they come up with, then life would be great. But that's not all a teacher does. In fact, I would suggest to you that teaching is one of the least things that teachers actually do. Teachers spend so much time bogged down in mandates, in different things that their districts want to do, different things that their administration wants to do. And all of those things cut into their actual planning time, into their actual classroom time and instruction time. So teachers are not just teaching. We've become therapists, we are social workers, we are psychologizers, we are parents, we are all these different things. And the unspoken rule says that even though that's not healthy and that it's unmanageable, the good teacher continues to do that. And when a teacher reaches the point to where it becomes very difficult to keep that pace, they begin to feel guilty for taking breaks and rest. I don't know about you as a teacher, but one of the hardest things to do as a teacher is to take a day off. And the reason why is to take a day off requires more planning and more work than it actually does to come to work. In my position, I'm not in the classroom any longer. I'm the dean of students, but to take a day off literally will cost me 2 or 3 days of work whenever I come back, because there's so many different referrals to take care of. There's so many different problems that have to be solved on the campus, whether it's bullying, it could be a threat management case, it could be a self-harm case. There's all different types of things that happen. And when I'm not there, they stack up. And that's exactly what happens to a teacher. So there's the issue of feeling guilty for taking a day off. And then there's the issue of how hard it is to get caught back up after taking a day off. There's also the issue of measuring personal worth by levels of exhaustion and busyness. And this is one of the things that is prevalent in the teaching society. We work in a hustle culture as teachers, and we are literally evaluated by what we produce. And so there is a desire to do more and more and more, because that's how we are looked at by our peers and also by our administration. And we don't want to be labeled the non-team player. And so we get after work, we do things that are not necessarily required of us, and we end up losing our planning periods, and we lose all types of other time that could be used for things that would keep work out of our place at home. And yet that's exactly what happens to us. And so it's almost like sometimes we wear that as a badge of honor. But I want you to know that I don't think that busyness is a badge of honor at all. I think it's very dangerous. And so the reason why we keep doing these things, the reason why we end up in the place that we end up, and the reason why that Abby's Werner ended up where she was at, there's three of them right here. Number one is fear. Many educators have a fear of letting others down, their colleagues, their administration, most of all, their students. Nobody wants to let down the students. And teachers also fear repercussions for not taking on extra duties or for not doing certain things whenever they're asked to do them, or they fear repercussions when they set boundaries. It's fear motivated. It's also calling confusion. And if you're in the education business, you hear the word or the term calling all the time. Well, this is my calling, which is cool. And it's nice to think of it that way. And I think of it that way. The problem is that we believe, or many educators believe, that they have to sacrifice their personal well-being to fulfill their calling. And what I would like to suggest to you is that you cannot fulfill your calling as a teacher if you are not a healthy teacher. One of the things that we teach here at Teacher Talk, and oh, by the way, if we haven't met yet, my name's John, and this is Teacher Talk. And I got to tell you, this is my first live podcast. And I don't even, what do you call a live podcast? A video cast? Somebody called it a modcast the other day. I don't even know what that is, but this is the first one. And I'm pretty excited about it. I'm scared to death, just to be honest with you, but that's the way it is. If you can walk in front of 32 other kids and teach a lesson all day, surely you can sit in front of your computer and talk to half of America or something like that, if that's the way it works out. But there's a misunderstanding. Part of that misunderstanding is that oftentimes as teachers that we have like a savior complex. And what I mean by that is we feel like it is our role to save every student. Some of that is generated in us because of what you may have remembered as no child left behind, as if the education system is intended to save all children. A third thing that we have is system pressure. It's institutional expectations that create pressure to perform. And that makes it difficult for teachers to set boundaries because the pressure can often result in sacrificing personal peace for perceived professional obligations. And I understand that really well. As a matter of fact, I understand all three of these really well, which is how they ended up on our list. And the reason why is because a little over 3 years ago, I came to a rock bottom point in my career and essentially in my life. I had felt the effects of burnout in my body, although I didn't really know what it was at the time. Leading up to for several years, leading up to what turned out to be a medical crisis. I mean, I woke up one day, my face was paralyzed, and I can remember going to school, and all the kids were coming up, and they're like, "Hey, Miller, are you? Did you have a stroke? Man, what's wrong with you? Your face is not moving." And my eyes wouldn't blink. Right, I couldn't smile, I couldn't frown, I couldn't close my mouth on a fork. I had to tape my eyes shut. And I was a varsity softball coach at the time, so it's not like I could just quit, right, and not go do it. I ended up going and do it. I had to tape my eyes shut. I had to walk around with towels on my eyes because they were watering, and I looked like a freak, just to be quite honest with you. But the reason why I ended up there is because of system pressure, the pressure to perform. I'm the dean of students, and if you want to promote in my business, you got to perform, or at least that's the way I felt that you had to do things. As it turns out, you can do all of that work and you can do all those things and you can be the greatest ever, but in education, that doesn't mean that you're going to promote. All right. Education, in particular, in my area, superintendents are elected in my area and principals are chosen by superintendents. So if you don't fit into that group right there, you're probably not going to make it no matter what you do. And that's just that. And so, what do we do about this unspoken rule? This unspoken rule that good teachers just keep on teaching. And the very first thing that I would say, and this is what we want to talk about, is you have to set boundaries. And it's the power of boundaries. Now, at Teacher Talk, we're a faith forward organization, and it's not because we want to be offensive to people, and it's not because we want to push people away. In fact, we want people to come near. But we are a faith based organization because that's who we are, right? And so our core message at Teacher Talk is this: above all else, guard your heart, for from it flow the issues of life. And that word guard is like a military term, and it means exactly what it sounds like: to put a centurion in front of your heart, or to take a shield and to put it in front of your heart. And it is our opinion at Teacher Talk that the best thing that you can do as a teacher to guard your heart is to put boundaries in place. Boundaries are not intended necessarily to keep people out or keep things out or to keep you in. They're not meant to be restrictive. Rather, they're intended to put things in their proper place. I'm reminded of what the scripture says whenever it talks about the hasty man or the unwise man. He's like a city whose wall has a hole in it. Well, in the ancient culture, a wall was built around a city in order to keep it protected, in order to fortify the city. And if the wall had a hole in it, well, then things got in that shouldn't get in, and things got out that shouldn't get out. And that's exactly what a boundary is. And I want to suggest just a few boundaries to you here this evening that'll help you extraordinarily. Number one, Learn to create multiple times in your day where you can have 3 to 5 minute resets, where you can just take some time to breathe and to refocus your mind. Now, I created a guide. It's down in the description box. You can go down there and get it. It's free. It's 100% free and it's always free. And it's specifically for you and it's specifically for teachers. It's called the 5 minute reset. It's just four little quadrants to help you work through. You could probably do it in less than 5 minutes. I say the 5 minute reset because it may take a little bit longer. I want you to jump down there and grab that and use that 2 or 3 times. Put it right there at your desk and pick it up whenever you have a few minutes in between class. Just go through it and reset your mind and reset your focus. The second thing is we use a phrase called mandatory recess. And mandatory recess is the idea of a 24-hour period where you are 100% non education related activities. No grading, no emails, no phone calls, no lesson plan, no thinking about education. It's completely wiped off, it's completely wiped out, and you simply focus on doing things that bring you joy, whether it's a hobby, whether it's spending time with your family, whether it's sitting around watching a movie, whether it's kayaking up and down the river. For John, since it's snowing up there and other places, it may very well be that he goes out and has a snowball fight with his grandkids. Whatever it is, it really doesn't matter. But it's a 24-hour period. And I know what everybody's thinking. They're saying, well, I don't have 24 hours where I could just shut down. And I think you do. And what we suggest from 6 p.m. on Friday night to 6 p.m. on Sunday, because most people are done working by 6 p.m. on Friday, or most teachers. And, we don't have to pick anything up most over the weekend unless we just absolutely want to do it. So there's a 24-hour period right there where we can just shut things down. Another thing that we encourage our teachers to do is to find one weekend a month where you can just unhook from all education related duties. John, do not send a snowball down here. If you send a snowball, and for those of you who don't know, I live in Florida, John's in Indiana. For those of you who don't know, it's 83 today where I live, and tomorrow morning it's going to be 35. And I don't exactly know how I'm going to handle that. And the day after that, it's going to be like 32. It doesn't usually get cold in Florida where I live until at least the middle of December. And a lot of times, not even then. We have, all types of parades going on this time of the year, and we're always out there in shorts. We don't ever have to wear a coat, but it looks like we're going to freeze to death. And I digress. But one weekend a month where you can unhook. You don't have to take a vacation. You don't have to go anywhere. You can do it. You can have a staycation. You can go around and you can look and you can see different things in your area and take trips and things of that nature, just to get your mind off of education related things. The third thing that we challenge teachers to do is to figure out how to work their contract hours. And I know that that's a difficult one. So I suggest starting small. Like, for instance, you might say on Tuesdays and Friday, as soon as the bell leaves and my contract hours are up, I'm going to go home. On Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday, I'm either going to come in a little bit early or I'm going to stay a little bit late. But the key here is that you have a definite, certain cutoff time where everything comes to an end and you don't take work home. You cannot allow, or we cannot allow as teachers, to allow work to invade our sacred space at home. That is a place where it has to be identified as a place to rest, not as a second or even a third office. You can put boundaries in place. And it's one of the most powerful things that we can do as teachers. I can remember 2 years ago, or almost 2 years ago now, I went down and I sit with my two principals before school started, 2 weeks before school started. Number one, I was scared to death because I figured I would get non-renewed or fired or I'd get demoted or something along those lines. But I went in, it was a very professional conversation. I talked to him. I said, look, I said, I can't do it. And here's the things that I will do. And here's the things that I will not do. It was a very professional conversation. They never said a word. They never looked up. They took notes. But you know what happened? Number one, I was a free man. I felt so good after that conversation. Number one. Number two, I walked out with like my chest all puffed up, thinking that I had done something important, thinking that I was actually somebody big. And I have never felt that good in my entire life. And the second thing that happened is nothing happened. And to this day, neither one of them have crossed those boundaries. They've never asked me to go beyond those boundaries. And I believe that most teachers, and I wouldn't say every case, but I think most teachers can go to their leadership and they can set boundaries, and it's probably going to be okay. So I want to encourage you to do that. Whatever your boundaries are, whatever it is that you think that you need in order to continue to be successful. Now, you got to be able to break free. You got to reclaim your peace and balance. Number one, you have to learn to recognize guilt. Okay. Guilt is often associated with responsibility. And so you have to have a way of figuring out what things are my responsibility and what things am I just feeling guilty about. John, that's absolutely right. We got to unplug, man. We cannot. Um, there it is. John, I got it to come up. Isn't that cool? So we absolutely have to unplug, and that's what John's getting at right there. And I'm glad he put that in there for us. Number two is reframing our boundaries. You have to shift your perspective. You got to view them as a means of obedience to your calling rather than barriers, because boundaries are what's going to allow you to sustain a long term commitment as a healthy human being. I am of the mind that the number one thing that we can give to our students, to our school, and to our organization is the most healthiest version of yourself possible. Anything less than that, and I feel like we are doing a disservice. All right, number three, reclaim your time. Make intentional daily choices that prioritize your peace and well being. And that ensures that you have to carve out time to take care of yourself. All right. And those are the things that we've been talking about. Now, down in the description box, I just put a brand new guide down there. It's called Reclaim Your Limits. Again, that's free. It's 100% free and it's always free. I want to encourage you to jump down there and grab that because I made it for you, specifically for you, and specifically for teachers. I want you to have the resources necessary in order to be able to deal with the absolute unspoken rule that keeps teachers working even when we need to shut down. And ultimately, all right, I want to empower you, right? Because Abby's Abby's district and her leadership did not empower her. They made her believe and to feel like there was nothing she could do, right? And I know and I understand ESE law, I understand IEP, right? On and on and on. But I want you to know that when it comes to your personal safety as a teacher, there is something that you can do. And I want to empower you to make sure that you have the courage to think about your health, to think about your family, and to think about putting boundaries and limits in place and overcoming the guilt that we deal with sometimes as teachers. Because the idea of resting and taking care of yourself, that's not laziness. Inactivity is not you being a bad teacher. That is you ensuring that you're going to be a great teacher for a long period of time. Now, before we run, some time ago, as a result of my own burnout journey, I started what's called the Teacher Talk community. All right. And as you know, this is Teacher Talk with John YouTube page. It's not because I think my name is cool. It's just I couldn't get Teacher Talk. Somebody else already had it. So I had to go with Teacher Talk with John. And down in the description box, there's a link down there. It's free. It's 100% free and it's always free. It's a link to the Teacher Talk community. I want to encourage you to jump down there and go ahead and get in our community where you can connect with other teachers. You can connect with me personally there. Not that I'm anything important or anybody important, but you can connect right there and you can be encouraged. There's all kinds of resources there for you. And I want you to jump down there and I want you to grab it. But most of all, as I'm looking here, YouTube, and if you're concerned about boundaries and want to hear more about boundaries, you can watch that video that's going to pop up right there on the screen. I think also that YouTube wants you to go ahead and subscribe right here to the Teacher Talk channel. But what I want you to do is I want you to stay strong.